right. Hey there. I have to be ready if there's going to be any guitar questions. I have to have a guitar ready. Okay. And we're good there. Okay, there's a bit of a lag. All right. Where is anyone? I see no one. Let me go to Discord and let everyone know. Boom, 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 boom. 2 people. Okay, let's see. General chit chat. Hey, Bob, you're there. Somebody's got to be there. Where is everyone? Hey, Holly. All right. Took a minute for YouTube to show you were live. That's weird. Let me go. I got to go to my Facebook page too and see if anybody put a question there, because I asked if anyone had a question. I just want to make sure there's no questions there. Nope, no questions there, so that's good. Okay, actually going to delete this. Okay, and I've got the questions here. I'm not sure, Holly, what do you think? Should I answer from bottom to top or top to bottom? I see where the space is the answered questions. I'm going to change that from answered questions to answered questions, because, I feel like we're in an age of overqualification. It's like, well, you can never know the absolute truth on anything, so it's ridiculous, the age we live in. Okay, let's see. And of course, questions can hit up here, but I'm going to try to prioritize in the chat, but I'm going to try to prioritize the pre-asked questions. How to end a song with a harmonic on the top 3 strings. I don't know. If it was an E minor, I would do that. Joshua Hamilton, how did you get so good at the guitar anyway? Let's see, 8 hours of practice every day from the age of 15 to the age of 35. That helped. I had an 8-hour routine that I would, even on vacation, although if I was flying, if we were flying somewhere, I think that probably I wouldn't be able to, but I would sit in the airport and get my guitar out and start working through all my exercises, scales, things like that. But the thing is, for a vast majority of the work I do as a guitar player, my skill, they don't generally require all of, my top skills. That's true of any job. You could be a surgeon, you could be a ditch digger. Most jobs aren't going to require all of your ability. That's why I was able to start working at 15. I didn't need 20 years of guitar practice to actually start working. In fact, the work is what made me move forward so much. Newest questions are at the end of the list. Oh, right. Okay. I like the way you did that. Okay. Well, that makes sense. And I may skip questions. I'm going to try to keep tabs on who's here. Um, and then like Witsend has got a question here. I don't see Witsend on yet, so if, I might skip Witsend's question, and I may bold these as I do them. But the first question actually on the list is a pretty good question, and it's the question is any advice on ear protection? Okay, copy. So what I'm going to do is I go here, paste. All right, okay. Make this a little bit bigger. All right. So the question is, any advice on ear protection? Yeah. Well, you know, when I was in high school, my next door neighbor actually worked for a company that made these foam that you roll up in your fingers and you put in your ears. They were for industrial jobs, for people working in factories and things like that, where it's very noisy. It was for ear protection. He actually was really smart. He stole a bunch of boxes of them. And then he would go to in Indianapolis, they'd have the summer national drag races. He would go to the drag race and he would sell them for like $5 a pack or something like that, or maybe $1 a pack. This would have been in the late 70s, early 80s. And because people are like, they don't realize how loud drag racing is sometimes. The first time you go there, you're like, oh my, you just see people like this the whole time. So, if you, so you would roll these up and put them in your ears. Now, I use those every now and then, but they really cut out a lot of stuff, right? I have heroes, you know, so the rolled up ones that go into your ear and they foam and they fill up your ear. And these were industrial ones. They really cut out a lot. So it was like having 10 head colds at once to try to play with a band. It was, you couldn't hear nuance. There was a lot of stuff missing from sonically that allowed you to play your best. Because if you're not inspired, you're not going to play your best. You got to be inspired by the sound of what's going on. And so volume is inspiration. And sad to say, I played way too loud for way too long, for too long of my life. And then standing next to a drummer who's smashing cymbals, you know, or another guitar player who's cranked or whatever, that's going to do some real damage. And I have real damage to my ears. My left ear, though, most of that damage came from when I was a messenger and I was driving our Honda Civic, which didn't have air conditioning in California. And I literally would drive 20, 30,000 miles a year on the freeways and, you know, trucks and everything. And I lost a lot of top end in my left ear. So much so that when I would go home to Indiana and I'd lay my head on the pillow this way, I wouldn't hear crickets. But if I lay my head on the pillow this way, I'd hear crickets. And I go, oh man, I've really lost a lot of top end. So my right ear's, I've got tinnitus really bad. So, if you want, stick around till the end of the broadcast. Holly, maybe remind me, and I'll show everybody a temporary, very, 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 very temporary, it lasts about a minute or two, cure for tinnitus. So if you have tinnitus, this may be something you want to do, or you may never want to do this because it'll make you depressed that, oh man, I used to be able to hear like that. You know, I used to not hear this ringing. So I have constant ringing. It's pretty loud too. I just don't fixate on it. That's kind of the key. It's psychological. The cure at this moment is psychological. But lately now, the best way to kind of deal with ear protection is to use in-ears. And these are molded in-ears. So they mold in my ears. When I have these in, and if they're not hooked up or anything, they pretty much knock out everything. You can get them with holes put in them so you know, outdoor noise or outside sound can get in. I didn't have those put in. I just wanted to be pure ear protection. And basically, the problem with these, though, is especially when you're playing guitar and if you're used to having that interaction with your amp, you tend to turn the ears up too loud and you can actually do more damage than less damage. You might have done less damage if you didn't have ears in and you were just playing with monitors and amps and everything. than you would if you were using ears. So it's a tough one. It's a tough one. Um, uh, so yeah, exactly. Yeah, yeah, because you didn't want. Becker says ear protection. Isn't that the reason that toilet paper was sold out for months in a row now? Recently, I said, yeah, because you're living with people you don't want to listen to. Okay, next question. I kind of answered that one, but I'll bold that so I know I did. Okay, have we seen Wits End? I don't see Wits End, so I'm going to wait on this one. Lena, okay, um, and Lena's question here. I'm going to copy this. Bum, 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 bum. Where is it? This? No, this. What? It's too big. Here we go. Can you, Lena Chen? I saw her earlier. I think, right? She's here. Although I'm not really going to answer this one, so not really. Where is she? Oh, maybe. Oh, there she is, right at the top. Okay. So, yeah, she asked. This was a question she asked before, and it's kind of the next series I'm going to do. Well, kind of not the next series. Can you recommend any resources or books on chord progressions for different genres? Okay. And what I might do is on the Discord page. I'm trying to think. Well, I can come up with genres. I don't need help doing that. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to start teaching some different grooves for different genres. I'm primarily going to be acoustic, but I probably will do some electric stuff too. But remember, that's my number one thing I want acoustic guitar players to work on, and that's learning new grooves. Because too often you watch a guitar player and they do the. And then the next song is. And then the next song is. It's the same groove on every song. So they need, if you're going to play acoustic guitar, you need to have kind of an arsenal of grooves. But what I will do when I'm teaching that is I will also teach in the coming weeks. I will also teach a progression that is maybe idiomatic for the style. Sorry, here I'm trying to move this down. Come on, there we go. That is fairly idiomatic for the style. So I'm not even sure where I'm going with this yet. So we'll see what happens. Yeah, English, please. Well, we got all our moderators. Why am I moderating these messages? Okay. So as far as books, chord progressions, let me just do a quick look and see if there's any, because I think yeah, so the thing was, Dash and others, we were compiling questions over at Discord, so I have a long list of questions to get through. So let me see. Let's see, how would I word this? Chord progression style. We'll see what comes up here. Oh, I should, yeah. There's chord progression for the guitar. Chord progression, okay. Well, here's one. I don't know what this looks like. Look inside. Let's see what this looks like. This is from Musicians Institute. Who's the writer? Looks like a pretty old book. Folk progressions. Interesting. I mean, there are things out there. Yeah, lots. So they give you a lot of folk progressions. I mean, this isn't bad, So Lena, just look at this one. I mean, it's only this sheet music. Does that mean hard copy? It's only got 3 stars though. I'm hesitant to people. You know, it's really hard. It's a tough thing to talk about because there is no such thing as a rock chord progression, because rock could be a million things. Okay, so you see that, everybody? Holly is grabbing. God bless you, Holly. She's adding it to it. So we're sharing a Google Doc, so I'm on that right now doing that. So again, let me know if you see wits end anywhere. Do the stop sign thing with the hand thing. But Lena, that's kind of what we're going to be talking about in the next thing. So I will try to address some of the progression issue when we talk about the groove issues, because that was another question you had before, and other people expressed interest in learning grooves for different styles. So we're going to talk about that, and then I will, add to that chord progressions. Okay, so let me bold that out. Vito is here. I'm not sure. Okay. Now, so Vito asked, please show us some other walk down chords besides G, F. Sorry, I need to get my acoustic for this. G, F, D, E minor, or D minor, E minor, and C. I'm not understanding this question. And it may be a language thing. I know, I'm pretty sure, Vito, English isn't your first language. So, and I'm impressed that you even speak two. I can't even speak one language. So I'm not condescending here. It's a little bit hard. So when I think of walk down chords, and that may be the phrase that is maybe sticking. And I should do a video on this. I remember Paul Balash, who's a worship leader and a friend of mine. He would do this thing while he was praying or talking in the key of the song, where he would do this like a D. I'm just descending down in the key of D, but I'm not using like Becker's showing these chords down there, like in the key of C. You might, like, if I were to play a descending progression in the key of C, I wouldn't go, C to B half diminished to A minor to G to F to E minor to D minor to C. I wouldn't necessarily do that. That's a little bit too straightforward. It's like just playing the white keys on the piano and going down, blah, 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 blah. Okay? So, the diminished chord is pretty rare. So I would do like a G over B. So the only thing that's descending is the bass line. So I'm going down to B. What chord has a B in it? Well, B diminished does, E minor does, and G does. Oh, let's play G over B. So that's how I choose that. And then A minor, okay, that one makes sense. But then I could go to G, but I just played G. The other thing I could do is A minor, and I could do C over G, which is really pretty, I think. And then you go to F. F makes sense. And then instead of E minor, yeah, E minor is fine, but I would do C over E. So I'd go F to C over E, and then D minor, and then I would go back to G. Now I'm going to actually the G in earnest, and that creates this kind of circle that just is, it's like a chain, an unending walk down thing. So I'll write that out for you. And you can copy and paste it. I'll write it in here. So what I just played was C to G over B to A minor to C over G to F to C over E to D minor, and then to G, and then loop it around again. Okay, so that's one way to kind of play a descending or walk down progression. Sometimes people mean between chords, like if you're going from C to A minor, what do you play? Well, G over B would be the most common thing. Or you could also play E major if you wanted to go out of the key. You know, so. Something like that, or you could go. You could do E over B, something like that too. So there's a lot of different things you can do. I'm just not sure I understand the question, and I apologize for that. All right, next question. Oh, how do you? Vito also asks, how do you write lyrics effectively? Well, to be completely honest, okay, let me copy that in here. Hold on. I'm going to try to get through as many of these as I can. And Lena gets a gold star for adding questions to the thing. So, but I'm answering this question because I saw a video there. Okay, how do you write lyrics effectively? That's also, well, one thing, if I had any hits that I wrote the lyrics to, or even any success as a lyric writer, I would answer this question. However, I can give you some tips because somebody else had said, and I don't know if it's in the lyric. Someone, yeah, I was reading through these last night. I was going to play Nathan. Oh yeah, okay. Vito also says, yeah, he also says, how do you write lyrics effectively? So this is redundant, but I can't come up with anything just bone dry. Okay, I'm let me see if there's even something like this. But I'm going to Google random word generator right now. Okay, and I'm going to see if there's something that generates a random word. Random word, generator. Ah, look at that. Of course. Okay, here's a random word generator. I'm going to hit it. Number of words. I just want one. Okay, I may have to hit it again because I don't like this word. Here's the word that came up. Oh my goodness. This is I don't realize that I'm doing a comedy here, but I'm doing a comedy. Yeah, minor substitute. We've talked about that, Becker. Okay, let me do that again. The word was rear. Mixture. Okay, mixture. All right, so Avito, the word is your challenge is mixture. Okay, here's the word mixture. All right, that's the title of your song. Mixture. All right, and you've got to make it about love or love lost or love wanted or a flame or something. And so what it does is you're really, I think the key to writing lyrics effectively is just to write a lot of lyrics, whether good or bad. Just write a lot of lyrics. Also, stream of consciousness. In other words, you just got to get that flow. I talk about it too with soloing and getting melodies in your head. Sing along with your playing. You're trying to get the connection between your head and your hands, and it goes through your heart. Same thing when you're writing lyrics. You want to get that flowing. Okay, now stream of consciousness lyrics don't necessarily make the best lyrics. There are some artists out there, like I think, Brian Eno would do that kind of thing, So with lyrics, sometimes I would just have a clever starting line, and I'm go, okay, well, what's this song about? I would often write the chorus first, and if that's the case, like this word mixture, that's the word that came up in the random word generator, and now my challenge is to write a song. Well, how do you make the mixture? Mixture could be the two of us. We mix together well. We're the mixture. And or you could say I don't know. That's a tough one. That was a tough one to come up randomly. Let me do one more. See what comes up. It'd probably be fun. Engine. Okay, I could think of a couple ways you could make the word engine. I did this. I told you about this one example of when I did it, and it was not one word. It was two words, but it was called. I was walking. I'm going. Okay, the first thing I see, the first thing I notice, I'm going to write a love song or a song about that. And I looked up, and the stoplight that I was staying at turned yellow, and I went, okay, song's called Yellow Light. What does that mean? And so I sat down and I started going, well, okay, what is a yellow light? Well, yellow light is caution. Yellow light, some people mean speed up. And so I went, wait, oh, there's my hook right there. Okay, and so the song was basically about a guy and a girl, and I was singing from the perspective of the guy, so it was kind of me and someone else, and we're driving side by side on a country road or whatever, out in the wherever, and we come up to a yellow light, and I race through it, and she slams on her brakes, and that was basically very descriptive of the relationship. We've all been in those relationships where, and I'm trying to remember how the song went. It was kind of a country tune, obviously, kind of vibe. I think it was the lyric was "I'm running yellow lights, leaving you behind," so we've all been in relationships where we've gone faster than the other person, or we've been in relationships where the other person was going faster. So anybody could relate to the lyric of the song. It actually turned out to be a really nice song. Yeah, exactly. Well, yeah, exactly. You just get the muscle going. The lyrics you can write very just ideas, thoughts, and everything. But I will give you some solid. Like I do work with a lot of young songwriters. Okay. And they all write top line because I like I said, back in the day I used to write everything, but I didn't have any success. So when I started seeing success when I started collaborating, and so what I try to do is I try to yeah, you can keep it simple, and that's true for pop, definitely. But there's a lot of artists that I think a Sting, he definitely doesn't keep it simple. Look at the lyrics for all of the songs on Synchronicity. I would say that record is dense with lyrics. And he's one of my favorite songwriters and artists. The Police were amazing. So not necessarily, and those songs were hits too. So not necessarily keep it simple, but just kind of let your mind go and try to figure out a way. Let your mind start to. It's kind of like solving a mystery, really. Like, how do I make a love song about mixture? I mean, I could sit down, I could give you a word and have you all try to write a lyric about it, and you would all come up with different ways of doing it. And some would be really, really actually good, and some would be like, well, I don't know what you were thinking. But one thing I do tell the young songwriters is there's two things. If you can find a new way to say I love you, it's worth $1 million. Okay? So you think about some of the biggest hits. Some of the biggest hits were love songs, simple love songs, but they said it in a way that nobody else had thought of before, lyrically. Now, keep in mind, you have to have a killer melody, too, to have a hit. So a lyric has to have a melody. You can't, a lyric by itself, monotone, just isn't going to sell any records. The other thing I would recommend is invent cliches. Don't use cliche. I will go through kids' lyrics every time, and if they say anything that is remotely like, even using the word shoddy, it's like shoddy, there was a time where I would go through John Lennon's lyrics and say, dude, don't use the word girl anymore. That's it, you're done. You're done using girl and baby. No more baby. No baby or ghoul. Girl. Or ghoul. Don't use ghoul. That's probably not a good word. Or write a love song titled Ghoul. There's a challenge for you. If you would never use a word like, or phrase, don't ever say like, I'll paint your wagon red or whatever. Pedal to the metal. Find a different way to say that. That's what Bob Dylan was so good at. Bob Dylan, there are more cliches that came from Bob Dylan than just about any other writer. And so that's what you should aspire to. You should aspire to being quoted, not quoting. Okay, does that make sense? Okay, so there's my 2 cents on lyrics into a 10 to 12 minute songs. Yeah. There's some awful lyrics. For pop songs, Becker, you're right there. I'm not. Yeah, I wouldn't ascribe to the fact that every hit has good writing at all, let alone lyric writing. However, I always say that any hit song or any big pop song is going to have. Is John Y here? Have we seen John? Hold on, let me scroll and see if I see John. Did I see Hook? Hey, Hook. Steve Barry. Oh, thanks, Steve. Yeah, I'm sure there's some pretty good books. Oh, John's here. Okay. Oh, you're a dentist. Okay, you're a dentist. Yes, I would imagine that would be the case, John. And you probably wouldn't think of using ear protection just for a drill, right? But yeah, that drill can be. It's piercing when you're having it done to you. But I only have it done to me maybe once every 5 years or something. So I'm going to answer your question next. Where is it? Okay, here we go. John Y. in Louisville asks, can a major or minor tonal quality in a song give you an idea of the mode? Yeah. I mean, it's interesting. The thing is, you can't really. I don't think you can really get. You don't get the mode. You don't hear the. I don't hear modal or modes in harmony. I don't hear them in chord progressions. There are, modal chord progressions. In fact, I have a whole series of people always get mad at me because they're like, well, that's actually Lydian and not blah, blah, blah. But it's because their ears hearing it different. And I just use remember the trick, I think I talked about this at one point that Joe Satriani used, which was to play the root of the key, like in the key of C, and then the 4 and the 5 against it. So I'm playing F over C, G over C. And to me, that's a very, very C major tonality. So yes, in that moment, in that context, the chords dictate the mode. And so I can hear I can hear the mode. I go, oh, well, that's, but some people would hear that as F Lydian, right? What they're hearing is, but with the C and the bass, I'm always hearing what the bass note's doing. So that kind of will tell me what's going on. So it's usually one note that a lot of times will tell me the mode. But it's the melody that will often tell me the mode. So for example, if I played a melody like this, okay, well, I'm in the key of C, but that doesn't sound, whatever. That's a very Phrygian melody. Because I'm playing the key of C, I'm playing the C scale, but I'm starting on E. So And keep in mind, there's three of the 7 modes. 3 are major and 3 are minor. For example, C major, C Dorian is a major. C major is a major, obviously. C Mixolydian is a major mode, and C Lydian is a major. And then C minor is a minor mode. C Dorian is a minor mode, and then C Phrygian is a minor mode. So you've got 3, and then you got C Locrian, which is neither major nor minor because it has a tritone for a 5th. So there's no 5/1 cadence in Locrian. Okay, so that's a if this is definitely, that's definitely a minor sounding melody. And I might hear that. Yes, yeah. I mean, you could hear that as a G Mixolydian. I mean, you really don't know until you do harmonize it, though, what mode it is. But as far as what inspires me, or what makes me think of hear a mode, is usually the melody, not the harmony. So, okay, all right. So let's see. I'm kind of answering these questions. These are not like the most solid answers. Oops. I mean, gosh, what am I doing here? I'm trying to highlight this and fold it. Okay. So John had another question, if you're still there, I think. John is still there? Avito's, I got a question here from Avito that's like, oh my goodness. Okay. So here's another question, too. Different kind of, a little bit different. Still on the modes thing. Okay, let's see what we got here. See if I can make this so we can all read it. All right. In blues, can you expect Aeolian or Mixolydian to be a scale associated with any given song? That's the hard part to answer on that question is with a given song. I don't know what the given song is, but you can use in a blues. I mean, right there, I've implied both Aeolian. Well, not Aeolian. Dorian, yeah. Aeolian, I wouldn't see Aeolian. You don't really see Aeolian in blues. Does that mean? Aeolian has a flat 6. Right? But A Dorian has an F sharp in it. So that I would use, but I would also use Mixolydian. You could combine those two. So A Mixolydian would be, and then A. And so watch how I play this. And then A Dorian. There's only one note difference between A Aeolian and A Mixolydian. I'm sorry, not A Aeolian. A Dorian and A Mixolydian. And A Dorian, Santana used Gilmore. They both used Dorian a lot. So maybe. Yeah, if it was a Santana song, Sam, or a David Gilmour song, yeah, sure, you probably could expect Dorian. But I wouldn't expect Aeolian from pretty much anybody, unless it was a pure minor. Now, let's see. Actually, he does use A or D minor or D Aeolian in that song. He's not using Dorian. He's got a B flat in there. So he actually is playing a pure minor. Although, would you call that as blues? I guess that's a minor blues. So if you're playing a minor blues, yeah. Minor blues are pretty rare. But if you're playing a minor blues, yeah, you can totally use it. Assuming that all 3 chords are minor. A lot of people, when they play the minor blues, when they get to the 5 chord, they may play a major chord. So that's a whole nother discussion, too. Now, but back to the A, I could combine A Dorian and A Mixolydian. And basically that would sound like this. And it's very, very common. When I went right there, I played A Dorian and A Mixolydian. When I went, I played the C and I played the C sharp. So yeah, I might use Dorian. You might find Dorian a lot in blues. Mixolydian, I think you would find a lot too. But Mixolydian gets it a little bit more in the happy thing. You get I think Jeff Beck used Mixolydian a lot, but Stevie Ray Vaughan did not. He would see now if I were to play that Stevie Ray Vaughan lick in Mixolydian mode instead of in that's basically just A minor blues, even A minor pentatonic. I mean, if I play that note, but that's pure A minor pentatonic. Okay, so that's how Stevie Ray Vaughan would play a lick. He loved that lick. But if I were to do it in Mixolydian, it would sound like this. Or maybe you might do a combination of two. See, that's a much happier sound. So yeah, so different. It would depend. So a given song would be if you just replace that word instead of song. Well, there were a couple words. I would go Dorian here, and I would say given guitarist. Yes, and the answer to that would be yes. Okay. Oh, what did Paul say? Lurker exposed, new subtitle. Yeah, Sam, how are you doing? I guess you're answering that. You're hip. All right. So let me move on. I hope I'm trying to be honest with you all as far as like not knowing the answers to pretty much any of these questions. Okay, Vito. And Paul. Yeah, that question. Well, your question's up here next, but it's one I've already talked about, so I think you already heard that. Okay, Vito. Was this a Vito? Yeah, Vito. Are you still there? I haven't seen a Vito in a while. Can I go into detail about music production? Well, for one thing, again, here's a place where I'm going to be real honest. I'm not a producer. Part of the reason I'm successful at all is because I work with producers. And so if I wanted to really be a producer, it wasn't a job description I really aspired to. I have produced some records. I've got some producer credits, but those are like with the Bieber record, they gave me producer credits and even a quarter point on the song ETA, and that's primarily because I quote unquote produced the guitars. I played them, I recorded them, I engineered them myself, and so technically I did. I produced the guitars. So that's how oftentimes I'll get a producer credit. I also got a producer credit on I think Yellow Raincoat. So as far as known producers, now I've produced other songs like with Kelly Jekyll and with my band. I produced all of my band's records. But it was not really ever a position I aspired to. So I work with a lot of producers though, and that's part of what I do is I send hooks to producers that turn them in. I just did one a couple days ago, and I send ideas to producers, and then they turn them into something that artists can sing over. Being a producer means really being on the cutting edge, or being a pop producer means being on the cutting edge and trying to create new sounds and things like that. And that's just not my. I'm fine with doing that in the guitar realm, but. So my experience of music production is usually working with producers, not actually producing music, to put it that way. So And music productions, I will say this about pop production versus everything else. If I'm going to produce an orchestral album, let's say I'm going to produce a Mahler's Ninth Symphony. I know what we're going to do. We're going to go to a Disney Hall if I have my choice, and we're going to record an orchestra there, and we're going to have a full string section and everything we need for Mahler's Ninth. But if I were to do a country record, I'd probably go in the studio and I'd have a drummer and I'd have a bass player and an electric guitar and acoustic guitar, maybe pedal steel, maybe piano, fiddle, mandolin. It depends on the kind of record it is, And if I were doing a rock record, we're going to have a couple guitar players, drums, bass, maybe keys, not necessarily. If I'm going to do a blues record, maybe keys, very common. 2 guitars, bass, drums. You get into a pop record, you don't know. Every pop record, now oftentimes there's nobody on it except the producer creates all the, you've got somebody creating beats, you got somebody else creating synth parts or whatever, and then the vocals, it's all about vocal production. And you listen to pop songs and oftentimes there's a lot of stuff going on vocally. And so there's a lot of the work done in that arena. So, yeah, so Paul, it's fine. I can hit on that again in a second because there are probably people here that weren't there. So anyway, I can talk more about that in the future. There's a lot of great YouTubers that talk about production. In fact, what's the guy that does the British produce? Oh, I think it's called Produce Like a Pro. Let me put that because he's actually like a pro. Yeah, this guy, Warren Hewart. So I've subscribed to this guy. If you're really into production, I would subscribe to Warren, and that way you can learn a lot about. He goes through a lot of 80s and 90s songs, and actually goes back further than that too. And there's another guy that tries to replicate all the Beatles songs. I forget what his thing is, but there's a lot of great YouTubers out there talking about production. So I that's just not something that's in my wheelhouse, as they say. Okay, so let's see. Boom. Okay, now Paul, you were asking about ear protection. Yeah, I mean, the ultimate is to have an in-ear system, which is not going to be the case for most bands. If I were doing a garage band, I would definitely wear ear protection. It's just going to get too loud. I've blown out my ears; they're almost destroyed. Wow, this is loose. But the thing about in-ears is I can put these in, and when I put them in, I mean, they fit in my ears, and I can't hear anything outside. I can barely hear that. Okay, so it protects me as long as I don't turn it up too loud. And the temptation is, before you had ears, your amp was right there, and you could get this. Woo, you do a big E chord, you feel like Pete Townsend, at Wembley or something, and that's all gone. And the amp may be in another room. In the case of my amp is like 40 feet away from me when I play at church, for example, when I use the ears. And so my temptation is to turn up everything to get that same energy that I had when we were playing live in the room when you're playing through ears. And that can do more damage than playing live in a room, in my opinion. So I have a friend, speaking of a friend, I won't say his name because I don't know if he would want this out there, but he's in a pretty well-known rock band, and he's a pretty well-known guitar player, and he's got horrible tinnitus. And I asked him, are you ever tempted because he uses ears, they've got that whole setup when they tour. Do you run the risk of playing them too loud? And he goes, no. I said, well, he goes, no, I literally will turn the volume of my ears just above the tinnitus. Talk about completely uninspiring, right? And here's a rock god, okay? And I'm like, wow, that's crazy. So how do you put on a show, get the energy? He goes, totally faking it. This is why I wouldn't tell you who it is. Totally faking it. He goes, yeah, I have to pretend like it sounds amazing in my ears when I'm on stage. It's pretty depressing. And I totally understand that. And so, exactly. What'd you say? The thing is, I'm playing, what, 9 songs every weekend. 3 services, 3 songs of service, plus a couple rehearsals or sound checks or whatever. He would do the 2-hour, hour and a half sets and do a show every night. So you really have to be careful with inners. You can just destroy your ears. I still try to turn them as low as I can stand them. But I want to hear, the problem is you start turning things up because you got a mixing console. We got 24 channels of mixing, that I adjust. Like, oh, I need more kick, I need more snare. Pretty soon I got kick and snare all the way up. And then I want less of this and a little more of that, more of this. Pretty soon everything's up. I'm like, oh, shoot, I just have to turn everything down, turn the overall mix up, and then I can make adjustments again. It's constant battle. So anyway, that's talking about ear protection. All right. And again, I went in more detail earlier, Paul. So, okay. Guitargenic. What is Dorian? Okay, I think we can skip that one. How many types of pentatonic? Okay. I'm not sure, again, this question copy, and this may have come in. I don't know who this is. Good. Oh, you know what? I should put the name of the person in there, too. Let me do that. Copy. And this may be that may be from Discord. Well, these are all from Discord. But how many types in a, and so what I'm thinking he's asking is how many types of pentatonic scales are there? I guess. All right. Now, if we're talking about the major, like a minor pentatonic or major pentatonic, which is the same thing, they just start on different notes, but a minor pentatonic, there's really only one. But you can play it. There's 5 different shapes up the guitar neck. And I always recommend, particularly you electric guitar players, I always recommend learning those. Like one of the first things I would teach is the 5 pentatonics. And get as adept at those as you can. Some of them are more fun than others. And then also try to learn them around the chord shapes that, the caged shapes, so that there are, like the A form would be this one, but as far as how many pentatonic scales are, well, penta means 5. So we need a mathematician. But if you have 12 notes, what are the possible combinations of 5 do you have? It's not 5 times 12, that's only 60. It's a lot more than that. It's combinatorics again. So is it 5? Because when I came up with all the possible combinations of a G chord here, okay? I've got a G chord. Okay, you got 6 notes. A chord is 2 notes. So here's 1, there's 1, that's 1. All 6 strings is 1 version. Then at the bottom 2 is another. That's 3 or 2. Next 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Then the opposite, or the skipping string, and then 3 strings, and then 4 strings, and so on and so forth. There's 5 string ones, and I think we came up with 56 different versions just from that one chord. So a pentatonic scale could technically be A sharp, B, C sharp. Now, some of pentatonic scales are going to be more usable than others. That one's probably not usable at all. But we talk about B.B. King pentatonic, right? So the minor pentatonic was this. But if you flat that 7th, you get more of a happy sound. And that's what B.B. King would use. He loved that one. 5 times 4 times 3 times 2 times 1, maybe? Well, the times 1 is irrelevant. But if that, and that would be a lot. Factorials, it's a lot, yeah. So, but with the total number is 5. It can't be more than 5. So it's limited to 5. So we wouldn't have a 6-note scale or 7-note or 12-note scale or anything like that. But another one that I like a lot is where I take the minor pentatonic, A minor, and I sharp the 3. And that's another type of pentatonic. So if you were to say how many types of pentatonic scales are there, a lot. A lot of times I'll change a pentatonic scale, a minor pentatonic, to accommodate. You can just make one note change in the minor pentatonic and come up with different things. Another one that I might do is flat the 5. You've heard that one before. And notice I'm still keeping it to 2 notes per string. I could have played that like this. But it's just weird to have these 2 notes in a row. So I had to make a shift, but I did anyway. So there's another pentatonic. I could also do something like this, where I raise the 7. So you could just take the minor pentatonic scale and make a change to one of the notes, and you've created a new pentatonic scale. You could take one of those scales and then change a note in that, and then you've created a third. Like the if I were to do, let's see, the major. That one with the major third, if I take that 4 and raise it up so I get. Right? No. Yeah, that's it. Almost sounds like The Simpsons. And that would be a nice, something you might use over an A7 flat 5 or something like that. So a lot of times a chord will, a weird chord will dictate that I need to change the scale somehow if I want to stay in the pentatonic realm. So, yeah, 792, yeah, that would totally be possible, Steve. I mean, because again, here's one. Here's another. Here's another. Here's another. Yeah. That's a pentatonic scale. It's 5 notes, and you repeat it. Technically, it's a pentatonic scale. Would I include it in a book of pentatonic scales? Absolutely not. Okay. Are there rules to how to create a pentatonic scale? Not really. Do they have to be major seconds and minor thirds? No, because we had a major third there. We had a minor second here. And that's a kind of a cool pentatonic scale. You might write a song around the scale. You might come up with a scale and go, oh, cool, I'm going to write a song around that. So, Holly in the house. Let's see. That's crazy, though. It's a lot of permutations. 5 to the 5th power is 3125. It could be that many. You could start with A. Somebody want to do it? The problem is not being redundant. I had that problem with the G thing. It was like so hard to find all the G shapes, all the possible variations in the one chord, that I was like, oh no, I already did that one. I had to figure out a method to go through them, in groups. So, okay. All right. What time is it? Oh, it's 10. All right, it's been an hour. Okay, so I'm going to bold these. All right. Manish Kasakar says, I want to learn whole theory. I don't know exactly what that means, but it means music theory. Has anyone gotten the Beato book? Let's see. Nathan. Let's see. I'm looking for... Okay, I already did that one. John already did that one. Okay, let me go to... I'm actually going to skip down to the... Okay, we already did that one. Skip down to where Holly's adding. Okay, I can see her cursor. Holly, when I do a deep bend, sometimes I catch a string above. I remember a tip you gave about flattening the finger. that helps. Any other tips to keep the twanging from adjacent strings? Okay. We talked about this in bending, and what it's this balancing act. You don't want the string, again, bending at the 12th fret is the easiest spot. Okay. Sorry. Okay. Bending at the 12th fret's the easiest spot. Yes, on the Beato book. Okay. It's good. So, I mean, I may just flat out recommend the Rick Beato book for theory, because he's so smart about that stuff. He knows so much more than I do. And I went to school and studied it, but I didn't teach it. He taught it in university. So, it takes a while, and you do have to develop some strength. Excuse me, Holly, but if you start at the 12th fret, practice your bends, then move your way down the neck, because they're going to get harder the closer you get to the nut. The nut's going to give you a lot of resistance, and of course they're getting a little tougher, I think. But when you're here, you're not too far from the 12th fret here, so it's still pretty easy to bend. But you can practice here. Second string's a great string to practice on. Okay. But what you don't want to do is you don't want the third string to go underneath your fingers, and of course the fourth string too, and then you end up with all that extra noise, right? So it's just a matter of kind of starting like this and then flattening as you go, okay? And I'm using, look at this, I'm bending with my third finger, but I got my second and first finger behind it. That gives me a lot of strength. Now the thing you don't want to do is you don't want the string to go on top of your nails, okay? I've seen some guys do that, and sometimes that happens accidentally. But basically, the goal is to kind of lift and separate. I don't know, man, that's an old reference. But no, lift and get this string out of your way. Okay, and then part of the advantage of having these other two fingers is now, because you're not just pushing one string, you're pushing 2, 3 strings. Technically, by the time you get up to there, I'm moving the D string as well. So I'm pushing 3 strings. So you have to have a lot of strength. And so you won't ever see anyone, or me in particular, but do a one finger bend, except unless it's the first finger. And then I'll just pretty much just do it like a 1 fret. See that? Yeah, it really does. But it'll take you a while, so you're going to have to do it. And again, I would kind of just practice. The third string is easy to bend. The second string is easy to bend. First string's a little harder, maybe because it's a little more tension. But also, I'm always afraid of breaking it. I've broken a lot of first strings bending first strings. Rarely bend second and third, or break second and third string. So, Holly moderated her own comment. All right, so, but as far as any other tips, no, that's pretty much just practice, pretty much. Sorry, that's not. Hope you can cover minor key progression as well when you talk about grooves. I could do that. Let's see. Dash had a question. Okay, do you have any advice on how to improvise solo write with chords more than just single notes, for example? I'm a producer and I can write with electric solos, but when I want to write to my chords and add some chords, extra things other than bar chords, I'm not comfortable enough. Dash, I'm not sure. Are you still there? Boom, 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 boom. When was the last time Dash? I love how Sam supplements my I don't know if Dash is. Oh wait, there's Dash is there. I haven't seen Dash in a minute. Oh, Witsend's here. Okay, well, let me go back and get Witsend. Witsend, I've been waiting to do your question because you weren't here. So you keep failing. Okay, let me put this up there. Sorry, copy. Okay. All right, Witsend, I have a question for you. Okay. Oh, I wish, yeah. I don't teach songs. Sorry, MV. Your ears were burning. So you fail at tremolo picking. I'm assuming because I've watched your videos, you play mostly electric. So you're talking about like that kind of thing, right? One of the tricks that I find that makes tremolo picking a little bit easier is to not pick straight on like this, but to turn the pick at a 45-degree angle. So that the string, let's see if I can find a way to model this or whatever. But the string, you don't want the string to go like flat, like this. Plop, plop. For one thing, it sounds really tinny when you're going straight over the string like that. If you turn it and then make sure you're not digging too deep, okay? Because if you dig deep, you got to go over the hump and then over the hump and over the hump, back and forth like this. Okay, same thing's the problem if you're going straight on like this. You just got to, it's really flat. You want to go very shallow. Pick as shallow as you can, and then turn the pick 20 or about 45 degrees. So, and then it's just a matter of right hand speed. Eddie Van Halen is really good at it. And then sometimes you can really like, you can be precise. The reason I don't play other people's songs is because I can't monetize this video or they'll take it down. A lot of people having problems with that. And I like to make a little bit of money when I do this. I charge $150 an hour for guitar lessons, and I don't make anywhere near that for this. So you're getting a deal. Let me put it that way. And sometimes I charge more than that for guitar lessons. So it depends on what the scenario is. But I don't really teach guitar lessons anymore. Very rarely. Yeah, copyright issues. But so I'm being pretty precise, Witsend. I'm being pretty. Oh, you see that? So the other thing though, if you do more flailing, if you use like a bigger motion, it can have a cooler sound. You may not be able to go as fast if you go. But notice I'm deadening every string. If I didn't do that, it would sound. You wouldn't even hear the note. But it creates a real powerful sound because you're hitting 6 strings, but you're only hearing one note. It's like a rake. A rake in slow motion. I'm just muting all the strings below the note I'm hitting. Oh, that's great, Sam. So Sam's also endorsing the Beato book. I should probably get it, but I've got so many books that I've never even opened. I'm always like, oh, I want to get a book on that, and then nothing ever happens. Oh, that's it. Just made me realize that there's a style we could do, Brazilian. There's a million Brazilian groups, but we could learn one and a Brazilian progression, and that would be minor. So John is always wanting minor progression, so I'll try to remember that. So anyway, Wits End, does that help you at all? Oh, what about wrist and elbow on drum picking? On my left hand, everybody kind of has their own different technique. But yeah, I'm using most of my wrist. I'm not using my arm unless I'm doing the big motion. Even then, I'm mostly just turning my wrist. But the key is really don't go deep. Almost pick as shallow. I mean, like even miss the string, and then drop the pick down and see how shallow you can pick. So that should help a little bit, but yeah, I'm keeping a pretty minimal movement. I'm trying not to use too much arm or wrist or anything like that. I've seen some guys kind of say, oh yeah, I pick with moving my first finger, my thumb. I don't even know how that's possible. You have to move the hand at some point. But Alex is in the house. Alex, how's my dove? Alex has my dove. He treats me like a guitar library. He checks out a guitar every week. Right, Alex? It's like, oh, this week I'm going to check out the lute. And I'm 100% fine with that. Okay, let's see. With Alex doing it, not anyone else. Sorry, I don't have a library card. Nathan talks about how do I sing and play at the same time. That's a tough one. We're gonna deal with that one. Let's see. Who else is here? Let's see. Yeah. So John, I will try to. You're right. That's not a question, but Dash. Which is Dash back? I'm trying to see where Dash is. Let's see who else is here. Okay. John Y. How do I train myself to have a sense of timing? I start over and again working with metronome, foot tempo, but I can't seem to stay in sync with it. Blah, 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 blah. Okay, yes, there is a suggestion. Well, it's not. It's kind of a suggestion. John, here's one thing I've heard a lot of people do. A lot of jazzers do this. Okay, and I'm going to have to think about this because I've never really done this. I'm going to need a clean sound. Logic. Let me just go to my Pat Metheny sound or something like that. So I'm going to get my metronome out, and so the metronome is, I got set 74, but really, two, three. Try to think of the click as 2 and 4, not as 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. So 2. Let's see. 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. Get rid of the delay. 4, 2, 1. See, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. See, I get turned around. It's hard, but that's one of the things that you can do to kind of. They say that's how you learn how to swing. I don't have a problem swinging, but 2, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1. So, oh man, that's brutal. It's hard to think that way. I have a problem when I'm playing with a drummer who's hitting on 2 and 4, but that's one of the tricks. So, oh, nice. Yeah, you can't beat that. That's the PDF, right? Thanks, Steve. Oh man, I'm about to sneeze. Okay. Oh, I didn't copy the question, and I'm not even sure I can. What, and the other thing I really like, John, is to play along, not along with a metronome. I like to play along with a drum groove. So if you have a Mac computer, you probably have you probably have GarageBand. GarageBand has these kind of drummer grooves, millions of them. But anyway, I would rather play with a drummer than a metronome anytime. So, and it also is much more realistic as far as the real world. Okay, so it's far more realistic to play it along with a drummer than it is. So you can have. Oh, funny. Uh, 10 hours. Okay. I'm copying and pasting that. All right. So, let's see. Where, oh, wait, no, I don't want. All right. So let's see what. Okay, Tal, who I see every now and then. Tal is. I said, how do you get sustain in a sort of distortion sound? I mean, turning up gives you more sustain. Because you get that interplay between the speaker and the pickups. But you can't always do that. We talked about, well, compressors will help you sustain a little bit more gain will, but if you're on a clean sound, it's hard to get good sustain. Dang it, I just can't get my windows in order here. Okay, there we go. Oh, shoot, I forgot to copy the question. Copy. And I don't know if Tal is here. I haven't seen Tal. But yeah, it's definitely harder to get sustain with a clean sound. But volume helps if you've got a clean sound and volume helps. The other thing is vibrato. I mean, think about Foxy Lady, right? And he starts that. Okay, so that's I'm just I'm pushing down and wiggling the crud out of this F sharp note here on the 11th fret of the 3rd string. I don't know if you can hear that. If I was loud, you would hear it. And then, okay, but you can generate sustain without even picking the note, just by moving the string. So that clearly means that you could keep it going by continuing to wiggle the note or use vibrato. The sound, I don't know. It's just it was basically a model of a. If you're talking about the Metheny sound, this one. It's just a clean sound with a little compression and some reverb, a lot of reverb actually. So it's kind of my Pat Metheny sound, you know. I kind of like that sound a lot. If that's the sound you're talking about, but I'm not sure if you heard the blues sound from before, or if you heard the this sound, or if you heard the other one. But anyway, so let's see the. So what was the question here? Okay, so distorted sound, yeah. So sustain. One of the best tricks to getting sustain is, more gain, more volume, and compression. But if you don't have any of those, then it's really about. And then also, there's nothing wrong with restriking the string. Okay, so for example, say I have the Metheny. I don't know why you need it to ring forever. Just hit it again. I have top end rolled off too. So there's a lot of top end. If I turn off the EQ, where's the EQ? Right here. If I turn that off. I actually almost like that better. I think I have too much top end rolled off. Trying to get that dark jazz sound. So yeah, it's just a lot of reverb and a lot of reverb and kind of a dark, clean amp sound. No gain at all. So let's see, where are we? Okay, so now I need another question. I kind of okay. I don't know the harmonic top three strings. I don't know what that question is. Okay, Gary. I don't see Gary, but Gary probably watches this later. Oh. I have open chords mostly down. My left hand is starting to flow from chord to chord. That's awesome. I've seen your videos. You do fine on that. I don't really do solos or scales. Well, if you're by yourself, it's really hard to do a solo. Although if you're using a looper, you could probably, heck, I can, where's Logic? Here we go. So if I turn this on, that's a wrong groove, though. I need a different groove. Different drummer. I don't even know if there is a jazz. Anybody that plays jazz here? R&B songwriters, hip hop, percussion. Not really. R&B, soul, modern, Motown. Soul. If I went really simple. So if I do like, okay, I'm going to duplicate this. Now I've created a kind of a loop, not a very good one, but you could, if you have a looper and you're doing that, then Gary, you could do solo. But anyway, that's not really the question you're asking. I'm gripping the neck so hard for something, trying to play a little vibrato to sustain notes. Acoustic, it's really hard to get that sustain. Now, I think, Gary, you're plugged in, if I'm not mistaken, so you might get a little bit more volume. You know, sometimes you get too much volume and you get feedback, right, on the acoustic thing. But the same principle kind of applies on acoustic as does with electric. If I do a little vibrato, so you're saying that in your playing of vibrato, it says, let's see, but I'm gripping the neck so hard for some chords that I wag the whole guitar. So you're trying to get, I see guys do this. Actually, a lot of really good guitar players do this, where they'll do like a, you know, like they'll, you know, I would probably do that, but I see guys do this, or we'll actually move the neck, which I'm not really comfortable doing. Yeah, I see. I'm not even sure what they're doing a lot of times. But I think it's easier when you're plugged in and you've got maybe some reverb or chorus or things like that. So. Azim, how's it going? Good to see you. Always like seeing new faces. Always like seeing new avatars. Oh, what's a good pedal that I suggest? Okay, I can give you a pedal for, you know, there's a saying, you know, or oftentimes there's a question asked of guitars, and of course pedals serve all different purposes, but people always ask, you know, if you could only have one pedal. I'm like, when would you ever have that scenario? You know, if I could only have one pedal, I'd have a multi-effects unit. when I go to, you know, pack a light bag and go to Louisville, I take a multi-effects pedal, a multi-distortion pedal, and a volume pedal, because I love having a volume pedal. So yeah, the side-to-side thing, yeah. I see guys do that on acoustic, but I don't. This is, I don't know. Yeah, and that doesn't really do a whole lot on guitar. Like, you know, you got to do this more to get. But classical guitars will do that. If you get right up against the fret, I think you get more vibrato sound than further back. But a violinist, because they don't have a fret, when they roll their finger, they're actually, guitar vibrato only goes up. Singer vibrato, you know, here's the note, the singer goes below and above like that. You know, and then violinists, you know, well, here, not even violin. On tubi, see, I can go below and above the note. I got a tune. but I'm actually going above and below the note when I do that. I got to work on my to-me playing. Got to practice. Excuse me. But as far as a pedal I recommend, everything's different. I really like let's see, Voodoo Lab. It's my main pedal. Voodoo Lab. Sparkle Drive. So let me pull one up on Amazon. You can check it out. I like the original Sparkle Drive. I think they still make that. Alex would know. Let's see. There's that one. Oh yeah, here's the other one. Oh no. Let's see. Well, maybe it's just that one. It's fine. They're both good. I mean, the new one does more than the old one. The new one. Let's see. Get a text. Copy. Okay. So here you can check it out. Basically it's you can get a little gain out of it. You can get a little clean boost out of it. It's kind of like a TS9 maybe a little bit. I don't know what pedal it's supposed to originally be emulating. Again, Alex would know more about that. Oh, you just got the HX Stomp. What's that? Oh, did you really? Did they get you one to check out? That one probably is a great one for taking on the road. That would be one that would probably be perfect for taking on the road. The hard thing is changing patches. That's, to me, on these little teeny pedals, is really hard to change patches. If you're only going to take one pedal and you don't want to be bending over to, go to change sounds. You need some kind of switch that will up and down kind of thing. But even then, you have to put all your sounds in consecutive order. Probably a cool pedal though if you've got a big board and you can do MIDI. Although, is it MIDI? No MIDI. Interesting. It's got USB in. It's starting to phase out the whole MIDI thing, or is there MIDI on the side? Oh, MIDI's on the side. Okay, never mind. All right, never mind. I'm like, oh no, are they phasing out MIDI? Yeah, and the funny thing is when people say, well, what would you be if you only could have one pedal? I say a volume pedal. Because then I would just crank up my amp and I would use the volume pedal to get different tones. If I pull it back, it'd get cleaned up a little bit, and then pull up midway until you get rhythm sound, and then toe down would be lead. I mean, it's kind of like having a distortion pedal if you've got a good amp. So let's see. What other questions? Gosh, so many. Here we go. Again, I'm not sure if I really answered Gary's question about the tremolo thing. He says start on electric. No, you could get a little sustain and tremolo, but it's not easy on acoustic. It's definitely more. Lena asks if she says, my question for Tom and every frequent flyer, I'm assuming all of you all, is there any interest for us to get together via Zoom and perform songs we're learning on a regular basis? I say monthly or bi-monthly. What a frequency. You guys can do that. Totally do that on your own. I wouldn't be interested necessarily in doing that. Part of the reason I do the live stream thing is because the video stays up there and I can make money on it. But if I were just watching a Zoom thing, I can't really monetize that. Let's see. But I totally think that would be, as far as jamming together, that's difficult, like you said, latencies. But there's some things that will allow you to do that, but it's not great. Holly is working on soloing and improvisation skills. Are there awesome intermediate, not too hard solos that you think would be fun and educational to learn? Yes, that's a great. Holly, copy. I'm trying to think of all the solos I would teach beginners. Okay, generally the first solo I would teach a beginner, my hair's totally sticking up, bedhead, is the solo to Let It Be, which uses pentatonic shapes and basic, even box shapes. Let's see. So it'd be something like, oh, wrong sound. So many windows here. I need multiple screens. Nope. Okay, now. Shoot. Reverse bend. That's, I think, the album version. Then the single version, which is the one, I don't know which you've heard more, because I don't remember the single version growing up. I remember the album version because I had the album, and I listened to it, like, wore it out. But it was, let's see. See. No, that's the first one. Shoot. Shoot. And that one may be easier. That's it. And this one he plays through like a Leslie cabinet. So that's the difference. Is one is more clean and the other one's got a Leslie thing. Shoot, now I can't remember. No, that's the first. But anyway, both the Let It Be solos are great solos to learn for the first time. There's licks that are, not so bad. I would teach like, like Black Dog by Zeppelin. I mean, there's so many great classic guitar riffs. You could even do like, another good one that's, if you got electric, you might be able to do it. Let's see. It gets up there though, way up there in some bends. But even Stairway to Heaven is one I would teach probably most of my beginner students back in the day in the first year of learning, because it's very pentatonic. Any of the solos that are very pentatonic are fairly easy. Any ones that have kind of a certain feel to them or redundancy, like I love the solo to Walk This Way, but it's got a weird thing that he does that's really hard to translate and share, show somebody. Let's see, what are some other good solos? It's I Did Sultans of Swing was another one. That's a fun song. And that one's just a bunch of licks. You can learn that part's pretty fast, but it's like. That's it. That was it. Boy, man, it's been forever since I taught some of these. Where he knows all the chords. Whatever. It's all that was fun. I remember teaching through the whole song, and it would be. I always pointed out the notice that the lick that Mark Knopfler does is a response to a lyric he says. Like Guitar George knows all the chords, and he does this. He does like a. He does this like something like, or I think it was it something like that, and that's a really fun one. So Dire Straits, both Let It Be solos. You could do Stairway to Heaven maybe, or riffs. But as far as learning solos, those are some of the fun ones to get started on, and they generally tend to be very pentatonic. Also, another easy one that I would teach a lot was Black Magic Woman. And again, I mean, this is really showing off how long I've taught, because these go way back. But Black Magic Woman, it's pretty darn easy. It may have been the first solo I taught. Again with the reverse bend. And there was a lot of nuance in his playing, which is really fun to dig into. And you go, why didn't it sound like his? Well, because he. He would do that at the end, like a guitar is fading out, like he's losing at the very end of a sustain. It just would do that little pull off at the end, and it was like, oh man, that's so Carlos, That's not right. And then he goes. That's the cool one, because he does like this blues thing. He's not. He doesn't go. He goes. I used to teach the whole solo, the long version off the album, not off the single. Exactly. Yeah, I wouldn't recommend playing any of these in guitar shops. Although it does help to have a couple things. What was the thing a lot of ones like back in the day, it was like everyone was in. That would be a big one everybody would be playing. And then Stairway to Heaven, of course. Oh my gosh. But or anything by Randy Rhoads back in the day, they would learn and so yeah, Whitson, that's pretty much where I'm at too. Yeah. Hey Rasmus, good to see you. Hassenpfeffer. Yeah, and if I get out to if I get out to this summer, if I go out to Sweetwater, I will probably review a lot of cheap amps. I don't know if I'll do pedal reviews, but who knows? It depends on how much they're willing to film me doing. I'm getting a little buffering here. Hopefully it's not affecting you. Oh, Gypsy Queen. Yep. I forgot about that one. Yeah, there's even simpler songs than what I'm suggesting. I think one of the first solos I ever learned was the Katie Lied, I think. And there was a couple solos. There were even like solo by Diamond Girl, Seals and Crofts. There were solos off of those records that I learned early on, but I didn't really teach those to students because they didn't even know those songs or didn't care or didn't like them. So when I first started, it was like I was listening to a lot of Seals and Crofts and Zeppelin and Beatles, a lot of Beatles. Beatles solos, like I said, it's mostly George Harrison solos, and those are that's what he soloed on Let It Be. So I think you're getting buffering. It's weird. It's getting down there. Yep, a little buffering. Shoot, but mostly I'm talking. So let me see what else I got here. Whoops. I'm trying to see if I've seen Steve Barry. There was another question. Okay, there's a couple questions. Brett Houston asked me, Tom, can you play the lute? Lute, kind of. Let's see. Brett Houston also asked, I'm interested in classical guitar. Where to start? Okay, here's what I recommend. I would get these 3 books. Let me see. Carcassi Method. So something like this. If you want to study classical guitar, you're probably going to have to learn how to read music. That really helps. Nothing wrong with learning to read music. Everybody can do it. It's easy. It just takes a little time. Giuliani arpeggios. And the Segovia scales. And the Carcassi method gives you some, it has some arpeggios in it too, but the Carcassi method basically gives you songs, repertoire, it's called in classical music. Songs, okay? Let's see. And then, gotta go here. Okay, I'm gonna delete this. Delete post. Oh, one comment. Wait. Shoot. I just deleted a post with a comment. I missed it. Okay. Winquar's Mary. It's not. Yeah. So, but for classical guitar, you know, the Segovia scales are the scales that kind of Segovia did all the heavy lifting for all of us and came up with the most efficient way to play all 24 scales, 12 major scales and 12 harmonic minor scales, or melodic minor actually, melodic minor. And then the Giuliani arpeggios are a couple hundred years old, 300-400 years old, and it's just a bunch of right hand exercises. So the Segovia scales work both hands. The Giuliani arpeggio is literally a C chord then a G7 chord. So it's pretty simple. And then the Carcassi method gives you repertoire. So you have songs to be able to play and practice, and it's progressive. So as the book goes on, the songs get harder, okay? Yeah, the buffering is on my side, I'm pretty sure, if it's happening still. Looks good right now, though. I got green lights, all green lights. Let's see, what else? So I kind of play the lute a little bit, I suppose. For games, I wouldn't do a performance on the lute, never. So that was Brett Houston. I don't know where he is, but Aslan asks, C major chord consists of C, E, G. How come they say to mute and not play the low E string? That's a good question. I'm going to pull up my acoustic guitar for this one. Well, it's going to be really small. Okay. So if a C major chord consists of C, E, G, why not play every note that you can? Why not, if you've only got 6 strings, why not play? It's kind of the same thing. You've got on an 88 key piano, I got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Well, I could do this faster, couldn't I? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 times 3 is 21 plus 1 more note. Technically on the piano, I have 22 notes I could play that would be a C chord. Now I only have 10 fingers, so I would need 2 other people to help me, or more. Assuming I could play 8 of them with one hand. I could do 8. Yeah, I could probably play 8 of them with 2 hands. But that doesn't mean you should. And the same thing's true with this. Really, if a C chord should have a C in the bass, unless you're saying C over E. If it says C over E, then yeah, then I'm doing that. And usually that's a leading chord. So, but if you just flat out play C over E when you mean C, it sounds like it wants to go to F. Right? But what if you're not in the key of C? What if you're in the key of G? Well, there's no F chord in the key of G. So it just gets a little muddy, undefined. I really want that. Anyway, so that's basically my question. You can play the E, but it's gonna want to lead to the F chord or lead down to maybe D minor. I would play if I was going, if I was going F to C over E to D minor or D minor to C over E to F, then I would use that chord. But if I just want a C chord, I wouldn't play it because it would make the C chord want to do something other than maybe it should be wanting to do. Okay. Let's see. Okay, hopefully that was answered. Just wondering if Justine wonders if I did the guitar on Over and Over. Yeah, actually, that is me. I gotta go and download it because I don't have a copy of it, so I'm like, I gotta go get it because I was like, oh man, I didn't know they wrote to that one. It's funny the things that the Bieber can come out and say, and that one. Well, I don't know if I play that one. Let's see. It's not been. I don't think that they registered it. I mean, you couldn't do a cover of it without having to pay somebody. But Bieber Over and Over. And I thought it was off the new record or something. But yeah, this is. Yeah, that's me. I remember writing that.
Loving you is my mission.
What hell?
I can make a difference. Wow.
I don't know where people are getting these, but yeah, that's me. Now I may get a takedown. I don't know. We'll see. Not a takedown. I may have to mute that section. But yeah, that's so. Justine, if you're watching, if you're out there lurking, that's why you shouldn't be lurking today. If you asked a question, because I may not answer your question if you don't show yourself. So Aslan also asks, how come hot dogs come in packages of 10 and buns come in packages of 8? So it's not a serious one, but I won't complain. Okay, well I know the answer to that because they want to sell you more hot dogs and more buns. Some of them come in packs of hot dogs. The big beefy ones come in packs of 8. But you're right. That doesn't make a lot of sense. I think the goal is for you to just buy product you're going to throw away. Although, now here's the thing: there are, a lot of people, like my wife, generally would probably, if we were having hot dogs, wouldn't have a bun. So, Steve Berry retracted his own comment. So that might be where someone they're on an Atkins diet, but I don't think that's the thinking. I think the thinking is, it's funny because the people that make the hot dogs aren't the same people that make the buns. So I don't know. Is there collusion there? Is it a conspiracy? I'm not sure. Reed thinks I should do a lesson on chord inversions and also one on guitar effects. I think a lot of you would all get a great enjoyment of that. Yeah, I did a video on slash chords, which is kind of a video about chord inversions, like what are slash chords and everything. Steve Barry, you're here. I'm working on identifying proper key for soloing. Okay, you have a pattern like A minor to G to F. Okay, let me go with electric here. It's interesting. That's a great example. Okay, yeah. Would you think of that as the key of C or the key of A minor, or because here's the. Sorry, I'm too loud. I'm going to be making so. Or would you think of it as F Lydian because you're sitting on the F more than you are any of the other chords, right? Stairway to Heaven's an interesting one because you'll notice even Jimmy Page has that dilemma. And I always love doing this, analyzing when I'm learning solos and teaching them and stuff like that, noticing these little things. But Jimmy goes. See, he didn't do the A minor pentatonic thing there. A lot of people play that solo wrong. They hit that note, that E note. He doesn't do it because. But Jimmy knows music because remember he was a session guitar player in the 50s and 60s before he was in Led Zeppelin. Okay, so he actually goes to the F note over the F chord. Now the E note would be interesting. would be a major seventh, but it rubs. It rubs in a bad way, at least for a rock song in the early 70s. So what that tells me, he's really thinking probably in the key of C, even though F is in the key of A minor. He's really kind of envisioning. Oh, yeah, okay. Yeah, the problem is Steve's is really long. So let me just edit this down to nothing here. I got to leave something though, or else it won't take anything down. Okay. All right. So so for example, on yes, and Steve, you are exactly right. If you want to figure out the major key, if you find two major chords next to each other, and you can assume the F and the G, that's the 4 and the 5. So that means you're in the key of C. C is totally fine. The problem is exactly what Jimmy Page highlights in choosing that F note. Your landing notes, your starting notes are less relevant than your landing. The note you're going to land on, your phrase on, may not always be the root of the key, right? So what if the progression were... Well, you wouldn't want to do... You wouldn't want to sit on that C note because you'd have this rub, like you'd have this C and B note rubbing against each other, right? So you need to make an accommodation to the chord. So don't play over the key, play over the chords. Play over the key, and then when you have to, play over the chord. And that may just be for the last note of your phrase. So for example, would be a really cool little lick that a la Stairway to Heaven, a la Jimmy Page. On our parody song, Stairway to Hell, or whatever. Yeah, I'm changing guitars a lot, so you guys are getting a lot of sips in. That's why all the cups are showing up. You're like, why are people putting beer mugs up and coffee cups and things like that? So sorry, we're getting some buffering again. Dang it. And Addie, good to see you. Addie, nice to see you. So we've got pretty good consistent viewership in the 30s here the whole time. It's sweet. So yeah. Oh, okay, I can't right now. Okay. So kind of, yeah, so Steve, yes, you can think A minor, you can think F, C major, both those are totally legit. However, even Jimmy Page, well, especially Jimmy Page, a good guitar player is going to take into consideration what chords he's playing over, more importantly than what key he's in. Everybody wants a shortcut. Everybody goes, well, if I just play the notes in the key of C. Yeah, we're getting a lot of buffering. Sorry. It's probably time to shut it down anyway. It's been 2 hours. And so Wednesday we're going to start talking about, I mean, if I have any holdovers. Oh, and there was a question. There was something I was going to. Oh, the tinnitus thing. Holly, you remember that? Did you remember? Did you write that down? All right, I'm going to give you a cure for tinnitus. But sadly, okay, I got Hazim's pedal question. I kind of talked about that too. Top 3 exercises to do daily. Catherine, that's a great question. Are you still there? I've got some videos on that. I haven't seen Catherine. Let me go to I have to go to my YouTube. I'm just going to give you the my page, my playlist of exercises. But I have two left-handed exercises that I recently did. You can jam along with me on. Where are they? Oh, no. No, I want playlists. Exercise. Here we go. So there's 11 videos here. Some of these exercises are very, very difficult. But it should be, if it says killer, don't do it. Okay? All right, so here's a link for that. Gosh, it's taking me way too long to do this. Here's a link for some exercises. Okay? And if it says killer on it, don't do it. But I have octave exercises. Isn't a bad one, but it's a little tough. Warm up with Tom 1 and 2. Those are using my two left-hand exercises. Pentatonic, killer finger independent, no. Killer finger stretching, no. Killer, blah, blah, blah. The killer ones I would ignore for now. So basically, it's just those two, and maybe the octave exercise. You could do that. So the one is this one here. We used to do actually in a where every other note is your pinky, so it's a great one for that. The simple one. And I would go all the way up to 12th fret, pinky at 12th fret, and then all the way down, and go up and down every string. You can experiment with your right hand doing different kind of things like hybrid picking if you wanted to, or alternate picking, or all downstrokes, or all upstrokes, or using 2 fingers or 3 fingers or whatever. And then the octave exercise is pretty hard, but it's a great one for developing finger independence. I'm thinking about putting the PDF for that one up on Etsy so everybody can have that for a couple bucks. I figure $2 is a good price. And then you're welcome. Let's see. Addie loves everybody. Okay. Now, okay, so this is going to take a second. Who wants the cure for tinnitus? I'm going to get depressed, though, when I do it, because it goes away, but only for like a minute or two. All right. So I don't know if, let's see, how do I do this? I can go like this. So you see my lap. What you need to do is you need to put your hands like on your lap and go like this. See what I'm doing there? So, yeah. So I'm basically putting my first finger on top of my second finger, and I'm trying to slap it down like that. Okay? If you do it on a table, you can hear it. You just can't see my table. If I did it on the top of the guitar, you could probably hear it. Okay? So this takes a minute, but what you do is you take your two hands, and if people are going to tune in now, the people that tune in now are going to be like, what the heck is going on? But you're going to do that with your fingers. You're going to cover your ears like this with your palms of your hands, and then you're going to do that on the back of your head 50 times, 5-0, okay? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, 35, 36, 8, 39, 40, 41, 42, 44, 45, 46, 47, 48, 49, 50. And the tinnitus is gone. It's the weirdest thing. Completely gone. I don't hear any ringing right now. And it's such a great, like, oh my gosh, but then it comes back. So you do run the risk of reminding yourself that you're hearing it, because that's the main way to get rid of tinnitus is to not think about it. Or the main way to deal with the tinnitus is not to think about it at this moment. They don't really have a cure for it. So, yeah, Jeopardy music. Bum, bum, bum. Yeah. So it's slowly starting to come back. I'm not sure why that works. It may just because you're hearing this low thud on the back of your head, and your ears, your brain kind of tracks down and stops the high note ringing. The ironic thing is the tinnitus is oftentimes the notes, the pitch, the range that you can't hear, but you're hearing it. You're hearing it in your ringing in your head, but you can't hear it if it were outside your head, which is ironic. Yeah, now you just have to do it. Oh, you have your hair up in a bun. Yeah, it doesn't work if you have your hair up in a bun. You're gonna have to take your hair down. So, Steve Berry says good practice on Underneath the Bunker by REM. Oh yeah, yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, and also another thing too. If you want to learn something, try to figure it out yourself. Don't get the tab. Don't go hunting. Don't enter the name of the song in tab. No, 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 no. Here's the thing. Here's where you are. Here's where you're learning something. If you do that, you're skipping this whole area here, where this is actually, here's where you are, and here's the new thing you want to learn. Okay. If you get the tab, sorry, I'm doing this wrong. If you get the tab, you're just leapfrogging this. This is actually where you learn. This is not learning to play a song by tab is not really learning the song, in my opinion. Learning to play a song by tab, or learning to play a song, is the process of figuring it out for yourself, or having a teacher show you too. That doesn't necessarily hurt. I would often, do pitch exercises with my students. I would play a note and have them try to find it. I would oftentimes say, well, what do you think this chord is? What makes sense? What are the chord options in this song? If the song's in the key of C, and we've got C, C, G, F, A minor, D minor, E minor, what do you think? Here, play all those chords and see which one does it. Oh, Paul, did you notice it? Isn't that cool? Isn't that weird? It's like, what the heck? So you have tinnitus too, yeah. So that's why you asked about the ear protection. Yeah, Bob Schumann. That's why people oftentimes will put like fans in the bedroom and stuff like that. Mine is, I'm fairly good at not fixating on it. That's kind of the key. So someday they're going to cure it. I don't know if they'll cure it in my lifetime. That would be awesome. I would love to have it cured. I've heard about a cure that they're working on in Europe. They want to bring here, and I've signed up for the trials. But well, yeah, try to anyway, Holly. And then you could write it out in tab. That's totally fine. You can go here, staff paper. Go to this website, bookmark this website. You can print up staff paper here. It's great. Okay. Oops. But yeah, you can go to that website and print up music paper. You can print up tab. You can print up tab paper combo, I think, maybe. Oh, the wall intro, yeah. Also, another one I would teach a lot of students was Dust in the Wind, but that's more of a finger style thing. So Wednesday we're gonna try to start doing some grooves in different, and we're probably gonna start with a basic folk groove and some variations on that, and so we'll see what happens, but the yeah, I'll see what I can come up with chord progression wise, because I will simultaneously talk about chord progressions, in certain styles, as well as, like I said, the Brazilian thing is kind of intriguing because it's like a. We may do like even a Brazilian thing, just so you can get one Brazilian group down. There's hundreds of them, but there's some fairly stereotypical. That's what I'm going to be hunting down, are stereotypical progressions. Okay. Let's see. Oh, you trying to figure out why that works? Oh, that's amazing, David. Thank you so much. Yeah, tinnitus. Yeah, I always try to figure out what's the pitch. It's actually it's kind of not quite C, but it's almost C. No easy choices in life. No. Yeah, hopefully the hearing aids will last a long time. If it's for hearing, that $6,000 is worth it. So I mean, I'm sure I'll be spending that kind of money at some point. And Richard Royster jumps in for a joke. Um, yeah, exactly. You could if you figured out the pitch. Oh, hey, Matthew Scott, thank you for jumping in. Oh, new here. Repeat staff paper, please. Link. Oh, okay. Sorry. So you can print up whatever you want. It's called blanksheetmusic.net, and you just go through the little where is it? Here it is. But just bookmark it and save it. But you can change. You can make it bass clef. You can treble clef. You can have tab, tab for ukulele or bass, guitar tab. They have guitar music and tab, which is great. Bass music, bass clef tab. Yeah, mandolin. You could do mandolin technically or bass, anything, 4 string instruments. So it has 4 string instruments and 5 string instruments. Oh, did it have a 4 string instrument in treble? Yeah, so that will also have less or more per page. What's this one? Oh, that's okay. Yeah, it's cool. Very, very cool website. So hopefully that helps. Okay. Black and White Boy, are you ever sore fingers? Not anymore, not really. No, my fingers have kind of gotten used to playing it. Early on, I did, and then here's the thing. Kind of the way to avoid sore fingertips is kind of obvious in some ways, and that is just play. The problem is what happens is if you play a lot one day, you're going to have sore fingertips the next, and then if you don't play for a week, family obligations or whatever, because you're busy. I talk about this in my 7 tips for older beginners. You can take your thumbnail and dig them into your pads on days you can't play guitar, just to kind of keep going, keep toughening them up, because eventually they'll turn into hard skin. Mine aren't even, I don't even have calluses anymore. My skin is soft. I play all day long, but the skin just kind of learned to grow tougher without having to be hard. I don't do any kind of treatment to it or anything like that. One thing I recommend though is do not play after getting out of the shower. Or if you've been working and your hands in water for a long period of time, like washing dishes, don't play for like 30 minutes maybe. Let your hands dry really good, because they get kind of soft and the calluses the tips of your fingers will get a little too soft, and you can kind of like destroy them. So I really try not to practice or play after getting out of the shower, which is not usually a problem. Let's see. Yes, playing drums, Matthew will. Drummers struggle with it a lot. I know. I just watched a thing on the Who last night, and they didn't talk about this, but I know Pete Townsend has really bad tinnitus. So a lot of rock stars have bad tinnitus. And I told you about my friend who's a rock star, and he has it, and they use ears, and he keeps the level in his ears just slightly above his tinnitus because he doesn't want it to get any worse. Let's see. Yeah, and people tend to push strings too hard. That's also true. Okay, I'll check it out. Sam, I'm gonna try to find that article right now. Oops, where'd it go? Stop it. Okay. No, not there. I'll put it over here. There it is. All right, I'll read that. When was this written? Oh, okay, end of last year. So this is fairly new. Okay, good. Yeah, I haven't really done any research on it in a couple of years. I got my name in a couple studies, but they weren't doing the study in LA. They did it in Houston and Baltimore. They just kind of randomly chose cities. They didn't choose Los Angeles. So, the other thing you might want to do is I just use my jeans, but I remember one more story before I go. But yeah, I remember one weekend at church, I usually wear jeans, but we were trying to dress up, and I was wearing pants that were like, I don't know if they just didn't have enough cotton in them. And I was wiping my hands on them, and they weren't absorbing the sweat. And I slid up the fretboard, and I literally cut like a knife right into my third finger, and right under the callus and everything. And it just it bled, and I couldn't play for like several weeks. I had to play with a Band-Aid on my finger and hurt like the dickens. And I tried the plastic skin stuff and everything, but it just would come off. And I thought it was healed, and it wasn't. But I stopped wearing those pants. It was stupid thing that like the pants caused it. I make sure that if whatever pants I'm wearing that don't absorb sweat, if I wet my hand on them, I have a towel or something handy, and that helps. Or even a paper towel in my pocket would help. But I got real paranoid for about a year about that. I was always making sure I had a paper towel or a towel near me so I could dry my hands before I played. Because you get nervous when you're in front of people, see? And so you want to dry your hands in between songs even if you can, or sometimes in the middle of a song. I'm coming up on a solo, my hand starts to sweat, and I'll have to dry it off, or else I could cause some problems. So, yeah. Good tips. All right. Well, hopefully there was a lot of questions there answered. We're going to talk about grooves on Wednesday. We're going to start doing a new series. So hopefully I don't have any idea. I have a vague idea what I'm going to do, but I'm not sure. I'm going to try to get a little more specific, and I'm going to try to make sure that there's also some harmony, chord progressions that are stereotypical as well as strumming grooves. So we're going to maybe take on two things at once. Okay. All right, everybody. God bless you. Thanks you for watching. I mean, did we get up to 40? Nah, we got up to 39. So close. Anyway, I hope you learned something, and we'll talk soon. God bless you all. Bye-bye.